Hey everybody, this is Rogue Archetype, and if you look in the upper right hand corner, something new's popped up. The Champion Duel. Alright, so you log on. This is the day after the Alliance Duels. It's like, oh my god, something else has hit me. What do I do? Alright, the Champion Duel. This was not one you worry about. This isn't one you have to win. It's just kind of fun to try, and it's based on your arena teams. So if you really enjoy this part of the game, where you hit challenge and you get your team together and you fight against another team. Let's choose these guys. All right, there's an arena battle and you hit fight, and it's one-on-one, right? It's automated. You don't do anything but just build your team out and hope they perform well and collect rewards, for your rankings. This event is about helping you improve your teams, because right now, out of necessity, all of us are just going in and we're just clicking whoever's on top. That is not really how you build an effective team. As you get more and more heroes that are developed, now you can start taking advantage of roles and synergies. And then you start building people with a higher power and all the time, and they can't figure out what happened. Okay, so if you go to your heroes, you'll see a couple of things underneath that hero's name. The first is their faction, and there's kind of a rock, paper, scissors scheme there. Okay, so she is Wings of Dawn because you see the little blue W, the wings, and she is weak to the Guard of Order. So if you come in with a whole bunch of Wings of Dawn, and they come in with a whole bunch of Guard of Order, then they have an advantage. Some of your statistics are reduced and their statistics are boosted, and it's called a weakness, and you get cut down and you don't understand what happened, even if they are lower power level. You might know some of that. Here's what you probably have not been paying attention to. Right next to that faction logo is their role. This is a DPS champion. They are there for just attack power. They do damage. DPS, damage, all right? That's what they do. If you go to somebody else with a different role, they have a different symbol. Now, Katrina, we feel like she's a damage dealer. She's not a DPS. She's just one of the first champions we got. So right now, she might be the strongest because that's where your energy went to. That's the one you went to develop the fastest, because she looked like the big bad in your collection. So you built her up. She's not really there for damage, okay? See the shield? She's there for defense. So if you put her in your group, she helps protect the group from damage. And you're thinking, why can't Katrina outdamage Sophia? Because Sophia is a DPS. She should always have the most damage in the report. That's what she's built for. And Katrina should not. Right? So if you built up a lot of characters and Katrina's outdamaging everybody, that's not her role. So there's a balance you have to have in these teams for them to have this synergy. So let's go to my spreadsheet. So the roles you have on a team is you have DPSs, tanks, support healers, controllers, and I have a little chart here that shows you what they do. Tanks absorb damage. They are built to just absorb the damage and not go down. That's why Katrina lasts the longest. Your DPS, damage dealer. They are the main source of the damage. Then you have your supporters and healers. They keep the team alive. So they might have an instant heal or overtime heal, or they might give more energy, giving them buffs. And you probably haven't paid attention to buffs yet. Things that happen during the battle that just trigger advantages, okay? And then controllers. They disrupt the enemy. What does that mean? They might have special features like a stun, where the opponent can't attack for a turn, or shut them down so they can't attack for a turn, or drain their energy. So controllers control the enemy. And you can't just go in with all DPSs and win. Usually, if they have a couple of tanks, you hit them hard and they're still standing there, now what? It's almost that meme where you punch the big guy and he's standing there looking at you. And you're like, uh-oh, because the retaliation is coming, all right? So the tank, the supports, and the controllers allow you to be punched and be the big guy that looks at him like, now my turn. Now my turn. Okay, so how many of each should you have on your team? So generally the way this stuff works is if you have and the placement matters, put your tank and controller in the front. Why? Because they absorb damage and still stand up. And then put the power hitters, who are usually glass cannons. They hit hard, but they fall quick. So put them in the back, let the tank and the controller absorb the damage. Put your support in the back because they usually don't absorb a lot of damage without falling down either. A lot of times your support's one of the first characters to fall and it makes you mad. You're like, I gotta switch her out. Don't switch her out, okay? Make your tank better, right? Make your controller better. And then make your DPSs hit harder because the support has to be supported, which is kind of funny. But if that support's standing up, you're gonna get buffs and advantages and things that really help you win every matchup. In this event, you'll have opportunities to switch out your team every round. So let's look at the phases and the progression of the event. First thing you have to do is register. Just click the button, say I want to be in it. Please do that. You don't lose anything, you gain everything. Join the thing. You're not gonna get hurt. All right, now if you click the little eye in the upper right-hand corner, it explains the different phases, the registration, qualifier, knockout, final 8, tally. Now, what you probably don't know is the champions from our server will be matched up against the champions from another server. So our best arena teams will continue to fight against another server's arena team. Now, it's all automated. You're not going to meet on the battlefield and march out tanks. It's automated. It looks just like the arena. There might be like a different layout in the arena screen. Makes it kind of fancy and cute, but it's just arena battles, that's all. And then you just switch up your team and they fight automated fights, and then you kind of see how you came out, okay? And then there's a bracket you can't see right now, a tournament bracket that is available for you to kind of see where everybody's progressing. So in the qualifiers, it says in the qualifier phase, 3 losses and you're eliminated. So you're trying to qualify to go up to the next level, the knockout rounds. And every phase has better and better rewards. So the farthest you go in this champion duel event, final 8 will have better rewards. And so you'll get better rewards the farther you go. I say you should go to the arena and start trying out some of the synergies where you're trying to figure out the faction synergies and your roles. So let's talk about the formations. This is just like you're setting up teams to go out in marches, except there's no tanks involved and things like that. You still got soldiers that got your back. All right, that's important for your faction synergies. So if your main attackers are, let's say, Wings of Dawn, if you're really relying heavily on Wings of Dawn, or if your opponent is heavily relying on Wings of Dawn, then maybe I'm going to focus on the soldiers that are counter to that, because the faction synergy works for your soldiers as well. Okay, so consider the rock, paper, scissors scheme and use the soldiers that correspond. I have my layout arranged by faction so I don't forget that shooters are Wings of Dawn, that assaulters are Blood Rose, and that riders are Guard of Order. So I have my setup, because my memory sucks, so I set my camp up so that way I understand how to mix and match and rotate those people. It makes you look at your heroes differently, because now I'm not only looking at who's at the top, I'm thinking, man, I need a controller. All my top guys are, let's say, defense. So I'm looking at my top heroes and I'm thinking, what's missing? And that makes me want to reach down into the epics down here in the A tiers and think about who can fill some roles.
Fresh test subject.
Take another look at Ava. She is a support. Now, if you look at Ava's skills, look at there, faction Blood Rose by 10%. So just by her being, if I get her to 6 stars or 5 stars and this unlocks, then that means I put her on a team with my other 2 Blood Roses. If I put her with Sophia and Katrina, then that is 2 very strong blood roses that could be supported further with Ava. So I've got to work on Ava, because my dream team right now is her and those other 2 blood roses. And then I can balance the team out with 2 Wings of Dawn to counter my weakness. Then I can have maybe Laura, who's defense, and Amelia, who is a very strong DPS. I noticed when I put Amelia in the mix that she was getting high damage. I'm like, whoa, that girl's good. Because I was still looking at the damage output. And now that I understand the roles, I'm like, oh, she should be getting the highest damage. All right, guys, so that is the Champion Duel breakdown. That's what it's about. It's just arena teams and really getting better at putting those heroes together, and also thinking about putting the troops with the formation that will help best counter what the meta is. The meta is what everybody's using. So you'll start hearing me say the word meta, counter the meta. Right now, what's the meta? Well, this is the meta. This team right here is the meta. Everybody across the top, mostly Blood Rose, Wings of Dawn. So if you know that's coming your way, because that's what we have, that's what we own right now, if you know that's coming your way, prepare for that. This is Rogue Archetype. Peace.